The Anglo-Norman period, 1100–1500, the Norman conquest. The Normans, who were residing in Normandy, France, defeated the Anglo-Saxon king at the Icene Battle of Hastings, 1066, and conquered England. The Norman conquest inaugurated a distinctly new epoch in the literary as well as political history of England. Authors. The Anglo-Saxon authors were then as suddenly and permanently displaced as the Anglo-Saxon king. The literature afterwards read and written by Englishmen was thereby as completely transformed as the sentiments and tastes of English rulers. The foreign types of literature. The foreign types of literature, introduced after the Norman conquest, first found favor with the monarchs and courtiers, and were deliberately fostered by them, to the disregard of native forms. No effective protest was possible by the Anglo-Saxons, and English thought for centuries to one was largely fashioned in the manner of the French. Middle Ages or medieval times, throughout the whole period, which we call the Middle English period as belonging to the Middle Ages or medieval times in the history of Britain, or the Anglo-Norman period, in forms of artistic expression as well as of religious service. The English openly acknowledged a Latin control. After Norman conquest, it is true that before the Norman conquest the Anglo-Saxons had a body of native literature distinctly superior to any European vernacular, but one cannot deny that the Normans came to their land when they greatly needed an external stimulus. The conquest effected a wholesome awakening of national life. They became united in a common hope. In course of time, the Anglo-Saxons lost their initial hostility to the newcomers, and all became part and parcel of one nation. They brought different things. The Normans not only brought with them soldiers and artisans and traders, they also imported scholars to revive knowledge, chroniclers to record memorable events, minstrels to celebrate victories, or sing of adventure and love. The great difference between the two periods, Anglo-Saxon period and Anglo-Norman period, is marked by the disappearance of the Old English poetry. There is nothing during the Anglo-Norman period like Beowulf or Fall of the Angels. The later religious poetry has little in it to recall the finished art of Cinewulf. Under new influences, the poetical education started again, and so the poetry of the Anglo-Norman period has nothing in common the Anglo-Saxon poetry. Obvious change in literary expression. The most obvious change in literary expression appears in the vehicle employed. For centuries, Latin had been more or less spoken or written by the clergy in England. The clergy insisted on the use of Latin, the nobility on the use of French. No one of influence saw the utility of English as a means of perpetuating thought, and for nearly 3 centuries very few works appeared in the native tongue. English language. In spite of the English language having been thrown into the background, some works were composed in it, though they echoed in the main sentiments and tastes of the French writers. As French then was the supreme arbiter of European literary style, another striking characteristic of medieval literature is its general anonymity. The romances. The most popular form of literature during the Middle English period was the romances. No literary productions of the Middle Ages are so characteristic. These romances are notable for their stories rather than their poetry. And they, like the drama, afterwards, these romances were mostly borrowed from Latin and French sources. They deal with the stories of King Arthur, the War of Troy, and the mythical doings of Charlemagne and of Alexander the Great. Thank you.